Sometimes news just hits your desk and you just have to roll with it. I had a whole different show planned today, and we are going to get into news on Edison, as well as Manchester United's approach for him seems to be hotting up over the coming weeks according to reports. But David Ornstein has just come out this morning first of all, and we like to keep you fully up to date here on Forever United TV, coming out and saying, as you can see going across the bottom of your screen now, that Manchester United's number one, their top striker target, is 100% Liam Delap. He also goes on to say in this a lot more. I'm going to go into that detail in a moment. I've got a lot of stuff to get through with Manchester United. Also, big updates on Marcus Rashford and Antony and their situations right now. Obviously, an update on the injury situation as we creep into the latter stages of the week ahead of Bournemouth. Are we going to see Ahmad? Are we going to see him return? It's been a nice quiet week for United and Ruben Amorim, so I'll get you updated on that as well. Like I said, Edison and them talks from Atalanta, the dream midfield signing for Ruben Amorim, updates on that as well, and another top striker target, but it seems to have just been put to bed. No matter what Manchester United are doing in the scouting market, it just seems to be covering all angles, because number one target, according to David Ornstein, is Liam Delap for Manchester United. Now, he has come out and said that Liam Delap is Manchester United's top striker target, and Matheus Cunha wants to move to Manchester United. As if we already didn't know, we've now got confirmation from Romano and David Ornstein that Matheus Cunha is going to be a United player. And no, I didn't start wearing this colour top just to bring out my inner Wolves and getting Cunha across. I didn't even think about that. Trust me on that one before anyone says anything. Still a little joke, sorry. Let's get back to the news. But Ornstein also says something very, very key in his report as well. And this is probably the biggest thing from what he has said, in that is that Liam Delap and Manchester United, top two targets, and probably will be the first ones through the door. And they want them done quickly, which to him says that Manchester United don't need to sell players first. So that question that everybody's been asking, everybody's been wanting the answer to, like, do United need to get rid of players first before they can bring anybody in? That has been hit with a big no. And David Ornstein today saying what he has said, I think confirms that as well. And I think, do you know what, whether you like Liam Delap or not, whether you think Cunha is the right temperament or character or not, one thing is for sure, and that is that Manchester United are about to splash out approximately 100 million straight away within the first couple of weeks of the transfer window in backing Ruben Amorim. And Ornstein saying that Manchester United don't need to sell players before they buy players is key to this whole window, because what it does do then is put pressure and says to them other players that are hanging around or that think that they are just going to come back that it is not going to happen. There is no room left, and players will be moved on. Now, there has to be surely a confidence of moving players on from Manchester United as well in this. But obviously, I think we're all more concerned about the players that are going to change Manchester United and what's going to happen instantly. We've talked about all of the young talent that is possibly coming in behind the scenes at Manchester United, but more often than not, the transfer window opens and most Manchester United fans and fans of other clubs just want to know, okay, that's great. I love the sound of the future being sorted and everything put in place, ready for these young stars coming through later on down the line. But what about now? What's happening? What is the immediate changes to my football club? And it's the same at Manchester United, and every single Manchester United fan wants to know exactly who he's going to be lining up in that first game of the season next season. So with you looking at the likes of Matheus Cunha coming in, it is an instant upgrade for Manchester United. And then you add Liam Delap. We still have the Osimhen situation, and Victor Osimhen is still not going away. Now, United want Delap, but they know that they have got competition. That's what's coming out from Ornstein. And this is where it gets interesting, because you think to like what Romano's been told for Manchester United and what Ornstein's been told for Manchester United. These are your top two. Now, Romano has said that Osimhen is definitely a target for Manchester United. Italy is saying that wages are agreed. Obviously, if personal terms are agreed, it doesn't necessarily mean that transfer has gone through. It just means that United are ready to go whenever. And it doesn't look like Manchester United are going to have an issue in bringing in either Delap or Osimhen before selling any players, because the stories and the prices going around for Victor Osimhen are not too far away or dissimilar from the ones going around for Liam Delap. The only difference between Delap and Osimhen is that Liam Delap is younger, less experienced, less wages. Osimhen on the other hand, and his pros are that ready-made striker that's going to guarantee you 25 goals next season, but his wages are massively high. So there's negatives and positives for both players. It's whichever eggs are in what basket. But right now it seems to be evenly balanced between the two. But what we can say from this is that Manchester United, like Ornstein said, want Delap. There's a top target. That means that but still with that, there's no guarantee that Liam Delap goes to Manchester United. I think what happens here, and the point that we're looking at here now, is that Manchester United are looking likely, or they're trying to make it look like they are really building something. If Matheus Cunha comes in, then Liam Delap's looking at that possibly and going, well, if he's going over to Manchester United, that is going to be a different ballgame. Do I want to be part of this? Do I want to be part of the next thing that happens at Manchester United? Or do I want to stick to my demands, or so-called demands, of needing and demanding European football next season? He's in no position to ask for that. I think just from what his agent is saying, and obviously where his agent is at in looking around at other clubs that are interested in, which there is a load for Liam Delap. So I think we've had about at least a half a dozen Premier League sides that have made a bid or invested interest in Liam Delap. You've got all of that there. His agent is probably saying, look, we could be playing European football next season. It is completely up to you. And then what we're looking at there is a bidding war coming in, and we can go on from there. I think that's what his agent's probably telling him right now. Options are open and it looks good for them. We heard yesterday that there is complications still. Well, not complications, but there's a bit more complexity to the Liam Delap deal rather than it just being a straightforward, there is a release clause of 30 million and United just get him. Player in, cheap money, really affordable instalments and cheap wages. It isn't like that. There is other things that need to be sorted out first and extra fees on top of 30. So it isn't going to be 30 million for Liam Delap. It's going to be a bit more. Between 30 and 40 million sounds like it is going to be what gets the deal done. Now, the stories from yesterday about Victor Osimhen being cheaper than what Manchester United first thought are obviously going to throw a spanner in the works when it comes to deciding whether you want Delap or you want actually Osimhen. Now, look, there is a real possibility that Manchester United could still go and get both players. And I'm only saying this because of what was reported yesterday in Rasmus Højlund being a make weight in any deal to bring Osimhen in. Now, if you get rid of Rasmus Højlund or you send him on loan or whatever the situation is and Osimhen comes in and you still bring Delap in, I think most Manchester United fans would go, wow. And honestly, I'll test the chat in a moment and see what the live chat is at. But honestly, if they did that, and they did that very, very quickly at the start of this window, I think message and statement of intent and some, to be honest there, it really would be an absolute bombshell for the rest of the Premier League if United did any sort of deals like that. But still, I think, like I said a moment ago, from what David Ornstein said and what he actually goes into detail about here is the fact that Manchester United don't need to sell players before they buy anybody else in this summer is key and is very significant, because what that does, it helps Manchester United compete with the Club World Cup teams in getting these players in from the 1st of June. So that is Romano, that is Ornstein, that is every single journalist, The Athletic, publication, whatever it is, whoever it is, following Manchester United, actually covering the football club in depth, have all said exactly the same thing now, that Manchester United are going to go out and buy in June. And it is going to come down to who the club and who the player wants the most, and that is, well, what the player wants the most and what club is ready to move the quickest. I don't know how. I mean, I would love to check in to some details. I would love to check in on some more information on Manchester United's finances regarding this. It's an interesting one. It's intriguing to know, because you're listening to Sir Jim Ratcliffe, and Sir Jim Ratcliffe is saying that Manchester United have to fork out 98 million going into the net. Now, actually, when you think about that, sorry, I've just actually figured something out myself. 98 million before we buy anybody else this summer. I think that came out before the news of the extended transfer window. So that actually, when you think about it, has changed. So now 98 million is in the next financial year, which is July 1st. That's when United have to make them instalment payments. So maybe this is why Manchester United are actually looking at this and going, hang on, okay, we still have the revolving credit facility, which is still there at Manchester United. Maybe we could just back ourselves early in this window and get Ruben Amorim the players he wants, and then just repay what we've spent in this window, in the next window, with them, with the sales of the players that we need to get out of the door. There has to be a very, very big confidence within Manchester United to play this card, though, whichever way you look at it. There are certain situations there that you could talk about, like I just did there, which is Manchester United basically risking everything and going for these players early. But it does show you that Manchester United somehow, from somewhere, have managed to spring together or pull together 100 million quid, because this is what it is going to cost Manchester United to get Delap and Osimhen and Cunha in. Even if it is Osimhen as well, it's going to cost you just over 100 million. Give or take 20 million, it's going to be, let's just say 100 to 120 million to bring in either Osimhen and Cunha or Cunha and Delap. I'm going to get into the comment section on this right now. We are going to be doing other news as well coming up, but this has just dropped this morning. If you have just joined us right now, David Ornstein has confirmed that Manchester United's top striker target is Liam Delap, and Manchester United do not need to sell any players before they buy, and they can go in the market in June. It is big news. It is massive news when it comes to this window, because it is going to kickstart this transfer window very, very quickly. This goes to show that Manchester United could have actually possibly made signings in January if they wanted to. I think what we're looking at here is that Manchester United's targets probably just weren't available. And this is a massive opportunity for all the clubs. I actually think that there's going to be a massive clamour in this first month now in June, like we've never seen before. Obviously, we've never seen it before because the window's never opened in June. But I think with this being the previous year's financials, I think we're going to see loads of movement. And guaranteed, this is why United have pushed this actual tour of Malaysia through. An extra 10 million there. 10 million could literally be the first down payment on a Cunha or a Delap right now from that tour. That's what that could be. The money that we've saved off Marcus Rashford and Antony's wages, probably estimated there another 10 million plus in them wages. That could be the first down payment for another player. This is how the finances are going to work. Maybe United have done enough. Maybe the cuts and what they've actually saved. Now remember that report that Manchester United had actually saved approximately 45 to 50 million with all of the job cuts that have come through the club. Maybe this is where that money's going. And yeah, cheap deals like Dorgu and Heaven haven't really affected Manchester United's balance sheets that much. I'm guessing and spitballing, you have to put 2 and 2 together and try and make that 4, don't you? But I think that's where we're looking. And personally, in my opinion, I think that is definitely where we're looking. Right, into the comment section we go. Get your opinions in here. Are you disappointed? Some people might be. Manny's in with a super chat and says, if they bring in Cunha and Delap in, they need another 10. For me, that's Trincao. You love Trincao, don't you? I don't know if they are going to bring another one in, because the report I'm going to be talking about in a minute may change that, because you may have Cunha, Bruno, Mount, Ahmad. Is that right? So you got Cunha and Bruno, Mount and Ahmad. Yeah, you could, and then Xerxes. You could already have 5 10s there. I'll talk about that in a moment, actually. But let's get some more in. With a good window and coaching from Amorim, wouldn't surprise me to challenge for the title next season, says MA. No, you are being sarcastic there, surely, aren't you? More improvement, definitely. But definitely not the title. Buys Delap and Cunha, ends up stuck with Rashford and Sancho. Nope, that will never happen at Manchester United. They can't afford to. I've said this before. Rashford can't afford to be stuck around not playing. He wants to be in the World Cup frame. And I do think that Chelsea are now going to trigger Jadon Sancho now that he's found a little bit of form and has made a big difference in recent weeks. And not a big difference, but a difference in recent weeks. I think they are going to trigger it. And I think Maresco is definitely going to be the pushing party behind that. Where's all this money coming from? Maybe the Glazers are putting their hands in their pockets. Barry, that is 100% guaranteed to be a no. The money is there just in instalments and balancing the books, mate. That is it. There is money always there at Manchester United. They're running at a loss. And until they start recruiting properly, they're going to struggle to bring that loss in line with what Manchester United make. And this, I feel, is all in Manchester United doing better on the pitch. Their projections are that they need to be in certain competitions. So remember what Omar Barada said? This is Manchester United competing in the next 4 years in the Europa League. This is what they're balancing their finances on right now and what they're doing. With the ticket prices, with the cutting of jobs and the cost cutting elsewhere around the football club and what they're doing, and this is where they see themselves easily starting to turn a profit. Now, obviously, they must have a budget for spending on players in that as well. And obviously, if we get into the Champions League, that budget goes above. So let's see, because we're not going to find out about it. We're only going to know after the financials have been released. So this is going to be a mad scramble now in June. And then July 1st, then finances are released. And Manchester United's quarterly figures come in, and that's the financial year done. So we'll see in them figures how they've managed to do this. And until then, no financial expert or nobody else is going to know anything at all. All we can go off is the previous quarters and what's been released already. United do have to release their figures, and I think that's when we can judge where this money is coming from. Right now, it's just a guessing game, isn't it? That's all it is. 45 million net for Rashford, Sancho, Antony, but huge savings on wages, plus same as Edison, Delap, Evans, Heaton, off about 80 million per year. It's about the annuals. Yes, good point from Don there. It's about the annuals, not the exact fees and what you're getting. It's what you're saving a year. PSR brought in the packages rather than the big transfer fees, and that's what the emphasis was on. Players being overplayed, mercenaries coming into clubs spending beyond their means. It's a package is what PSR is, and it's trying to balance that, and that's what you're looking at past that. So Manchester United are looking at what they save annually rather than what the price of the transfers are. It's what it is affordable for them in instalments each month, and that's how everything is judged these days. This is public pursuit of both Delap and Osimhen suggests Rasmus days are numbered as his goal as is his goal tally. I did say yesterday there is interest in Italy in Rasmus Højlund. Can you, like I said, if United do sell Rasmus Højlund or they loan him out, they need 2 strikers. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine United surprised everybody and went out and got Delap and Osimhen? My money's on no, that won't happen, of course. But can you just imagine what that would bring? Do we have a history of getting our number 1 targets at every position while allegedly broke and early in the window? I just fear a lot of people are setting themselves up for a disappointment. Look, United are in for these players, so I don't know what the disappointment is. Like the fact that we're actually in and bidding and feel confident in getting these players should tell you that with the structure that we've now got in place, this isn't the same old Manchester United letdown scenario. This is Manchester United properly working as a football club. So if this news is coming out now, this is the first summer transfer window, don't forget, where Manchester United have had the actual finances and the structure in place that has been different to the last 2 decades of the Glazers. This is the first summer where they've had a full year to prepare for a transfer window with a structure in place. This is why it feels different to me. And I said this all along, absolutely intrigued to a different level as to how Manchester United navigate through this transfer window. It's going to be a mind blower. It really is. A few more comments. Let's get him in. He's young and experienced. We need another strike. We need another situation like that. We don't need another situation like that. Sorry. Last summer showed a marked change in strategy and ability in the window. No more. We can do things other clubs can only dream of nonsense. No. It was structured, it was good, no one was overpaid for, and I do believe that Manchester United's window was decent. Can you imagine that this season with a full preparation leading up to the summer and Amorim and an actual organisation now? Because Ten Hag was there, it was INEOS' first summer, it was a bit chaotic, it was hit and miss, it was let's do this, let's do that, he's in charge of this, we don't know if he's the right man, all of the fallout and everything that happened. Well, now we know that everybody's in place that needs to be in place. So let's see what they can do and come up with. Hello, legends in the chat, and Adam, feeling good about our intent at the moment. Nothing else to say, just hello and support. Much love, thank you, Greg. Yeah, it does feel good about Manchester United's intent and what's actually going on. It really does. So I'm with you on that one, mate. I think it is showing good signs that Manchester United are looking at the right players and are looking to move like a proper football club. And that's the most encouraging bit out of everything. So well said, Greg, on the super chat there, mates. It really is a different time, I think, for Manchester United. And I think the stories that we are going to talk about right now are the ones that really resonate with Manchester United fans. This is something that we've not had before, and I think it is going to be a massive transfer window for Manchester United. And on that as well, Manchester United, in other transfer news as well, there has been big reports coming out. I talked about this the other day. Manchester United's pursuit of Edison, the Atalanta central midfielder, is where I'm going next with this one. This is a player that Manchester United have scouted, have been involved in, and nearly bought last summer. Now, Alfredo Padula has come out and said that Manchester United and talks between them and Atalanta are going to move to an advanced stage. Big developments are coming over the coming weeks. So we know there's only 5 weeks left in the season, and Manchester United right now are in a position where they can actually start to plan and make their moves. Now, with the financial rules that are in place, the new transfer window, this is why we're hearing now about players like Edison and what Manchester United are doing. You would have heard Owen Hargreaves, and I did a show on this the other day, actually, and talking about Owen Hargreaves, talking about his 3 players that would change Manchester United. That was Osimhen, that was Matheus Cunha, and that was Edison in central midfield from Atalanta. Now, Manchester United tried to buy Edison last summer, but there wasn't enough time for Atalanta to turn it around and get a replacement in. That was the story that came out from Atalanta. So maybe all of a sudden, everybody's thinking about where United are getting this money from all of a sudden. How are we able to put a bid in for both Delap and Matheus Cunha and get these deals over the line as quickly as we possibly can, as soon as June 1st hits? Well, maybe Manchester United had money last season that they were put aside. And maybe and now we're seeing the money coming in for the likes of Edison. Now, Edison and what he brings to Manchester United is completely game-changing, even more so than probably a Delap, an Osimhen, or a Matheus Cunha. I think it is that significant a signing for Manchester United. The ball-carrying midfielder, an experienced ball-carrying midfielder, who has got an engine and then a reserve engine in terms of getting up and down that pitch, not only fits the 3-4-3 system perfectly, but he brings in that controlling factor into a really, really complex system that not many Manchester United fans have got not many Manchester United players, have got the footballing IQ to deal with. He has. Key in this window and what is happening right now, why Edison is massive, is because he can play at the 6, he can play at the 8. He's done it all season for Atalanta. And by the way, he's been available for every single game, near enough, for the last 2 seasons. His injury record is impeccable. And when you're looking at reliability, and look what Ruben Amorim has done with Bruno Fernandes this season, players who are available and always fit and can play pretty much whenever he wants them to are key to his system. If you add a quality 8 to Manchester United's system, then Bruno Fernandes is then pushed back into the 10. So you then look at Manchester United's number 10 roles. So then you've got, when we're buying Matheus Cunha, you've got Bruno Fernandes there. You've got Ahmad coming back. You've got Xerxes coming back. And you've got Mount. You've got 5 number 10s to chop and change and move around from. Now, we know Bruno can play it. We know he loves Mount. We know Ahmad can play it. We know Matheus Cunha can play it. Xerxes is questionable. But that's good squad depth to have. So 5 10s. Then you've got Delap or Osimhen, whoever it may be up front. I think we need another player. I don't know if you can rely on Delap and Rasmus Højlund. But besides that, that's a different area that United can obviously look into with players that we possibly are going to sell. So, Edison coming in, he works alongside the likes of Ugarte. Ugarte and Edison in Manchester United's midfield is absolutely phenomenal as a midfield setup, I feel. Ugarte, questionable, but the responsibility has gone from Manuel Ugarte. You've got someone who can play this system, who is going to be comfortable in this role, going forward, coming back, playing 6 and 8, and releasing the energy and cover of Bruno Fernandes. It makes complete sense. Edison, who's used to a system like this, Cunha, who's used to a system like this, and then a goal-scoring player, is everything that Ruben Amorim needs right now. And when you look at that, and when you look at what that will bring to Manchester United, stability-wise and actual structure-wise within that system and that role, I think it's absolutely imperative that if we can, and what Padula has said about Edison and Manchester United and something developing with, I think there is already something set in stone between United and Atalanta. Let's not forget, you could argue the fact that Atalanta have really ripped us off over the last couple of seasons. Not now, because it looks like we've got an absolute wonder player in Ahmad. So paying 30 million for Ahmad back then when he'd not even played a first team game looks like a good bit of business, which is kind of strange after what Manchester United in them days around Ed Woodward and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, with the shenanigans that was going on behind the scenes, actually managed to get a deal out of something like this and showed a little bit of vision. So Ahmad, great deal. Rasmus Højlund, not so much. But still, you've got to say that Manchester United and Atalanta's relationship is very, very good. Now, on top of that, there is also another report going around that in the scouting of Edison, Manchester United have also been looking at Retegui, the leading goal scorer in Serie A this season. He's got 26 goals and 6 assists. He's the leading goal scorer in Serie A. He's going great guns for Atalanta. Maybe Manchester United going for a double swoop for both of these Atalanta players. Now, this, I think, is something that's being worked on, maybe as a package. United, if they don't get Delap, it falls through with Osimhen. Manchester United looking like they've actually got a plan B and C in the transfer market, and real quality players as well at that. Retegui is obviously having the season of his career at Atalanta, and it's going to be hard to get both players away. I've said this before, and don't count this out. Hear me out on this one. Could we not send Rasmus Højlund back to Atalanta and say thank you? This is I know it sounds stupid. I know it sounds like we're being unfair on Atalanta, but come on. If you're Manchester United right now, if you're going in for the likes of Retegui and Edison, then you've got to give something back. There you go. Or maybe just give them Rasmus Højlund back. Maybe that is a way that Manchester United could actually make something happen in the transfer market. And when I say we need to be clever in this market and this window, is that not initiative? Is that not thinking about how Manchester United can get a deal done? Another striker in, another midfielder in, and bang. Now, we know that Liam Delap is Manchester United's top striker target, according to David Ornstein. But what I'm trying to make a point of in this is United are definitely in for Edison. But in using their contacts and their nous and actually having a football structure, could we not be looking at getting a plan B or C in Retegui as well, and being another option if Delap doesn't want to come to United? He wants to go elsewhere. United might not be in European football. Look, I'm not saying that Edison and Retegui are going to come if we're out of European football. All I'm saying is there is a plan in place for Manchester United this summer, and it does feel completely different to what we have been dealing with before. It does feel like Manchester United have actually got a proper structured transfer window set up. And I did just mention this before in saying that this is the first season that United have had a full season's preparation with a structure in place, with a manager that's going to play a certain way, with a structure above him that knows he wants to play a certain way, that are fully willing to back him, preparing for a transfer window coming up. When have Manchester United in the last 2 decades had that? We haven't. We haven't had anything like this since Sir Alex Ferguson. It's a case of going into a window, knowing the key positions you need, knowing the key players that are going to play them positions, and then having a B, a C and a D option behind that. I think there is that there. And Retegui and Edison is a top target, but Retegui, I think with Manchester United, like Nicola Scherer, who reported this, the Italian journalist, I think there is still room in other deals to be done, even if the ones that we're talking about right now fail. I do believe that is where Manchester United are at, and I just wanted to get everyone's opinion on that. Retegui and another option. Please do let me know on that and get into the comment section and tell me. I think that is a reality. Obviously, by the way, everybody, make sure that you do subscribe to Forever United TV as well. Thank you so much if you have done already. And do please put a video on the like as well if you're enjoying the content. Right, let's get into the live section on this. And let's go with everyone's thoughts on the striker situation and if there's anybody else out there that you think United could go with. I mean, I've just brought up Retegui, obviously alongside the Edison story that Alfredo Padula is running as well. Quickly, just before we get into some comments, we have another super chat in from Antony. Says, Cunha, Osterman and Edison. Wharton for me. Edison/Wharton. I think you'll get Edison cheaper than Wharton. That's the difference between going abroad and going to the Premier League. I think that's what we're looking at. Jordan Hall and Manny, thank you for them gifted memberships as well. If you have been gifted a membership in the live chat, please do put a big thank you in there as well. We have around 1,600 in the room with us this morning. Thank you so much, everybody. Get your comments in now. I'm going to come into that section and just get your opinions now and see what you're all saying. Stephen says, I will back Delap if he comes, but I don't see him scoring to 15 to 20 goals in our team. Unless we bring in better playmakers like Cunha and Edison, we must only get plan A players for Amorim or it will fail. Is Delap a plan A player then? Is the question I asked back, Stephen, on that one. Are you saying if Delap comes in and not Osimhen, you need better players to support Delap? You're saying you're going to back him, but we need plan A players. Well, I think it's an opinion piece, really, more than anything, isn't it? Is Delap an actual plan A? Is he good enough for Manchester United? I mean, that's what you've got to look at in this. And I think in some quarters at Manchester United, I think Delap actually is a plan A player. I think some people actually think that he is that good. I think some people would prefer Osimhen. And the report from yesterday was that Amorim wants Osimhen. This is game-changing players, by the way, this. Absolute game-changing players for Manchester United. We do have a poll running right now as well. Get voting on the poll. If United buy Cunha at 10 and Delap, do they also need another number 9? So, you've bought a striker and you've bought a 10 who can play 9 and 10. Do we need another number 9? So far, with just under 1,000 votes on this, 77% of you have said yes. Ouchie lala. That is a lot. Not convinced by Manchester United's depth, I think, is the general consensus from the live chat on that one, I would say. I take him over Delap. Plus, he knows Garnacho and Licha, him being Argentines. That's in, obviously, bringing in a different striker. They won't take him back. They sold him for a reason. Well, he was doing all right then, but maybe we send him back on loan. I don't know. Maybe he gets better over there and his value goes up and Manchester United can sell him on next season. We're going to talk about Rashford and Antony in a moment as well, so maybe it isn't all resting on Rasmus Højlund being sold. Maybe it's them wages gone, which will be used to pay for Delap's wages, so no loss. Rasmus going away and playing games, getting better in another division, in another country, and then into his fourth year at Manchester United, which it will be after last season having gone out on loan for a season. Maybe his value is worth more. I would look at that. I would look at loaning Rasmus out. And I think, obviously, if Manchester United are looking at their books right now, you're going to get Delap in for maybe the same or less wages than what Rasmus Højlund is on right now. And an easier transfer fee to actually cover in Delap. But then Rasmus Højlund may be gathering value over in another country. Another year on in terms of payments for Manchester United on the deal that we've paid, or we are paying for Rasmus, making it easier to tell him next summer. Just a thought. I said this before as well regarding sending maybe Rasmus Højlund to Napoli on loan, just to soften the blow for Osimhen. If we get a cheap deal out of him and give them a striker, look, the options are there for United. I do believe Rasmus Højlund is being thought about at Manchester United as an option to send away, even as a make-weight, cheap sale, or even a loan, like I said. I think all options are there. Atalanta will rip us off again. No chance they swap their 23 league goal striker for our free goal striker. Look, they love him at Atalanta. That's the difference. And I know what you're saying there with that one, Al, but honestly, there is value in Rasmus Højlund in Italy. He has got credit over there. And that's what a lot of people have actually said, and a lot of credible sources have actually said that Rasmus Højlund still does hold value in Italy. And I think he will find it a lot easier in Italy. And he'll definitely score more goals than he does at United. But are they going to push it? If I was Delap, if United don't get Osimhen, I wouldn't come. He'll be the next scapegoat if he doesn't score more goals than he scored in his entire career in one season. I get what you're saying, MB, but again, a little bit negative. You are quite consistent, though. I'll give you that, MB. Come on, we'll get a positive out of you one day, mate. I think everyone relying on the truthful press. Has anyone I don't know, it's a typo there. I think you're supposed to say actually been right since the new owners. I think all of the reports that have gone on since United have changed owners and INEOS have come in, nearly every player that Man United have been reportedly linked with, we've got. You heard about Yoro in June, and we got him. Agate, the end of June, July, we got him. Obviously, Delap and Mazraoui dragged on all summer, but we got them. And Xerxes, who we were talking about last January, in last season, was actually brought through as well. So, really, mate, when you look at it, the noises since INEOS have been in on transfers have ended up being quite on the money, which is interesting. So, maybe we have got a lot to look forward to this summer with it. Delap, Cunha and Osimhen incoming, Rashford, Sancho, Antony, Højlund and Garnacho outgoing. Watch out for Garnacho and Rasmus Højlund and their movement as well. Quickly on to the players leaving Manchester United as well. I wanted to talk about that. I'll come back to all of your comments again in a moment on the players coming in and opinions on that. But we spoke yesterday about Marcus Rashford's situation. He scored again last night. Marcus Rashford's numbers for Aston Villa are very, very good, actually, when you look at it. 4 goals and 6 assists. So 10 goal involvements for Marcus Rashford in what I think it is 16 or 17 appearances. Looking good. Unai Emery is a massive, massive fan of Marcus Rashford. Now, this is what is going to be good for Manchester United. Now, Romano said yesterday, and we covered it yesterday briefly, so a little bit more detail on it this morning. Romano said that Unai Emery loves Marcus Rashford and wants him. Marcus Rashford, according to Romano, loves the Unai Emery setup and what he's doing with his game. He is the happiest that he's ever been. Well, he's been for years, let's say that. And Unai Emery would get him and would buy him on a permanent deal this summer. So that's from Romano right now. Obviously, bad result for Villa last night. Again, City scrapping it in injury time, and Villa's chances of making the Champions League taking a dent. But if they did make Champions League, and they can do because the games are not as... I don't think they've got the worst games compared to some of the other teams in there. And it's going to go right to the wire at the top 5 in terms of the Champions League. City pretty much putting themselves there now in the top 3. So 2 more places to fight for between, I think, Forest, Newcastle, Chelsea and Villa. They're the 4 that are fighting for them 2 places, 4th and 5th. If Villa get in there, then Rashford is staying at Aston Villa. But I think there's a chance that even without, and the story is that Unai Emery is pushing no matter what for Marcus Rashford. And Ollie Watkins might be the scapegoat going into the new season. He could be sold on. And this is going to develop as we go forward. So, looking at that, and Marcus Rashford playing a big part in Manchester United bringing in the right amount of money as well. This is one deal that United are confident is going to happen and actually give them the funds to go into the window and do what they need to. So, in terms of Marcus Rashford, everything is good. His numbers are good, and he is having... He is having an impact on Unai Emery's side. So, all looking quite safe for Marcus Rashford at the moment. Obviously, when the season finishes, and it's going to be funny enough, like United's last game is at home to Aston Villa, and that's dependent on whether Villa maybe get the Champions League. Can you imagine? You get Champions League and Rashford's definitely gone. You don't, he might be sat there in the stands even longer because he won't be able to play against United in that game. But yeah, Ollie Watkins could be sealing his fate if he does well in that game against Manchester United in the last game of the season. You can see the headlines already. It's already been set up. It's scripted, isn't it? But no, good numbers for Marcus Rashford, doing well. Antony, on the other hand, as well. Antony also in his numbers. 5 goals, 4 assists for him in his, I think, 17 appearances for Real Betis. Their form since Antony arrived is absolutely brilliant. They are pushing for the Champions League places. Now, Champions League places pretty much guarantees Betis being able to afford Antony. But this isn't the case, and it's not just Betis in for Antony. And the reports are still circulating that Atletico Madrid and Juventus are both very, very keen. And everything that Antony has done has really enhanced his qualities, I think, probably in Spain and Italy. Like, everybody knows that the Premier League is a tough league. But Antony and what he's doing right now, and the stories about Atletico Madrid ready to put a 75 million down on Antony, basically paying 35 million up front and then instalments of another 40 million if he hits a certain target. That's how they see them getting Antony over the line ahead of Real Betis. They know that Betis cannot afford what Atletico Madrid can afford. And Juventus are definitely ahead of both of them financially as well when they've released Dusan Vlahovic this summer also. So that, with a new manager in, obviously at Juventus as well, and them looking pretty much nailed on to make Champions League football again all of a sudden, brings Antony into the equation. So it is looking comfortable. And I'm bringing these players up right now because we're talking earlier on in the show about how Manchester United can afford to buy these players in. There has to be a confidence that deals are already being put in place for their other players to leave. And I think the way that Antony and Rashford have both performed is giving United the confidence. I think there's a deal for Garnacho going somewhere as well. I really do. Remember when I said if Manchester United brought in Cunha, or what Manchester United's options would be? If United brought in Cunha and Edison, this would push Bruno Fernandes out of midfield. That would give us Bruno, Xerxes, Mount, Ahmad, Matheus Cunha. 5. I didn't even mention Garnacho. I think he's behind 5 players. I think Garnacho gets sold. I think this is where the confidence is for Manchester United. And I wanted to save that till last, just so I could explain why I think Manchester United are doing what they're doing right now. Ornstein, like I said at the top of the show, says that Manchester United's top target is Liam Delap, and they don't need to sell to buy. And that is key in all of this. This, for me, means that United have still got financial room in this year's financial PSR term, which ends on the 31st of June. And then they can go again from the 1st of July in the new figures. But I think that's where United balance their books. I think there will be players coming in after the 31st of June also. But I think they're taking advantage of the Cunha and the Delap situation now. And I possibly think that Manchester United are going to say to Wolves in this instalment package, we will guarantee you a certain amount after this financial year in instalments, but we're going to give you a smaller down payment now. Maybe that's how they're going to do it. I'm guessing, but this is how you manipulate your books and how you get around big transfers. I'm telling you right now. So, them numbers, just to bring into the equation as well, Ahmad coming back, and you cannot forget about Ahmad coming back into this side and the importance of him as well. Just to break it down, Ahmad right now, I've just talked about Marcus Rashford's numbers. I've talked about Antony's numbers. And you look at what they have done this season combined. So Antony, like we said there, 9 goal involvements. You're looking at Rashford there, 10 goal involvements. Garnacho, Xerxes and Højlund and all their numbers this season. Ahmad has got more than all of them players. And that's including his injury. And that's just while Ruben Amorim was in charge of Manchester United. So Ahmad under Amorim alone, with his injury, which has seen him miss, 2 or 3 months near enough now, has still got better numbers than Rashford, Antony, Xerxes, Højlund and Garnacho. Well under Amorim's control. That's the importance of Ahmad coming back. And I think people forget, bringing all of these players in, and Garnacho isn't going to go anywhere because Ruben has said that he's doing well. Don't forget about what we've already got in Mount and Ahmad. They're both ahead of Garnacho. And if we do bring a midfielder in, which apparently, according to a lot of people, is a priority for Ruben Amorim as well, then that's going to push Bruno back in at 10. And he's miles ahead of Garnacho in terms of Amorim's mind and what's actually happening. Just wanted to say all of that to make it clear that Manchester United have got a lot of options. And there is going to be a big, big push for certain players this summer because I think they know that other players are actually leaving Manchester United as well. I think deals are already done, personally. That's how I see it. Well over 1,000 votes on the poll right now. If you haven't already, please do get involved in the poll. If Man United buy Cunha at 10 and Delap, do we also need another number 9? 76% of you on the poll, well over 1,000 votes in on this, have said yes, we still need another forward. Let's get a few more comments in on this. Delap, Cunha and Osimhen incoming. Oh, I've already read that one out. Sorry about that. Mount ahead of Garnacho. Bro has scored 2 goals in 3.5 years. Adam, stop that. I don't care, Ricardo, sorry. I don't care what we think or what you think. It's what Amorim wants. And we know that he's had issues with Garnacho. And Mount is ahead of him. Under Ruben Amorim rule, mate, he's ahead of him. And you know it. You can bring the numbers in if you want. All you want. Because when Mount is fit, and whether Ruben actually dies on that sword by backing Mount, that's we're going to see. But when Mount is available, he's ahead of Garnacho. Because Garnacho's going to be on the bench probably with Mount in this team. And I tell you what, who do you think Ruben Amorim's going to bring on off the bench? It ain't Garnacho. It'll be Mason Mount. I'm telling you right now. So Garnacho don't get in the team even without signings when everyone's fit. That's the key to all of this as well. If you bring other players in, then it goes further down the pecking order. There's got to be a make weight. There's got to be a counterbalance, and it's selling Garnacho. I'm convinced of it. I'm convinced that he's going to end up going to Italy. And then reports are still there. Don't forget, start this week, we said that Antonio Conte has made it clear to the Napoli board, after not backing him in January when Kvaratskhelia left for PSG, that he wants Alejandro Garnacho and he expects him in his team next season at any cost. Manchester United have also dropped their valuation for Garnacho to 50 million, which is affordable for Napoli. And the wages are not astronomical either for him. So Garnacho goes, I think. I really do think that he will be the one that is a big part in what Manchester United do this summer. And I guarantee this time next year, you won't be worried about Garnacho if Man United buy the players that we've just been talking about on this show alone. 100% not. If you get Edison, if you get Cunha, if you get Delap or an Osimhen, that there is a completely different animal altogether of a Man United side. There are players that are tried and tested in this system and are better quality than what we've already got. At the right level, the right experience, and then with the younger lads coming through, and all of them young prospect players that Manchester United are looking at, that we've spoken about in detail on this show as well, is just the backup and the next in line. They need to make a mark now with experienced players and the right players, but also have a plan to bring in other players. So later down the line, United won't be spending this much money in a window because they've got their own players coming through to fill these holes and these gaps. We have an abundance of talent coming through our academy setup, and we have got a plan in place to actually see these players come through. And I do believe that Manchester United are going to be better a few years down the line. Ricardo there asking, do a poll on Mount, please, I beg you. There's no point, mate, because none of our opinions matter. It's all Ruben's. I bet most people would have Garnacho ahead of Mount. It doesn't matter, mate. That's the point I'm making. We know that Ruben will play Mount over Garnacho. That's all that matters, buddy. That is all that matters. Chelsea sold us their shite straight from the toilet and we are putting them in the starting lineup. Mount is a ghost. You never see him during games. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. The problem with Mount is his injury record, not the player. Mount will work in a Ruben Amorim system. I can definitely 100% say that I can say that confidently. I like Mason Mount as a player. I just don't think he's reliable enough for Man United. And it pisses me off that we didn't do our recruitment properly and look into his injury record and what he was struggling with. You bring back the Mason Mount of the Champions League winning Tuchel team and you've got an absolute diamond of a player right there. It's finding that Mason Mount through all of the injuries that is going to be the biggest problem in all of this. So, yes, that's my biggest concern than Mason Mount. Not his quality. I think he will always be ahead of Garnacho for Ruben Amorim. I'm confident in saying that as well. And you know what I mean by it. You all know and understand what I'm saying in that as well. Right, let's quickly go over the news to keep everybody updated. If you have just joined us, 1,600 people in the room with well over 300 likes on the live show, everyone. Thank you so much. If you love the content, please do drop a like on the video as well. That would be absolutely brilliant. Yes, Ornstein has come out. David Ornstein has come out and said that Manchester United's number one striker target this summer is Liam Delap. So that puts into question the Osimhen developments from Romano and other sources. We will see. We all know that Liam Delap isn't just a 30 million release clause paid. There is other details and there are a few more add-ons on that. So it's going to be a little bit more than 30 million. Manchester United are going for Cunha and Delap in June, and Ornstein has said this then proves that Manchester United do not have to sell to buy players. So their finances will allow them to buy players first and sell afterwards. So we can go for targets quickly in June where other clubs can't, which is how United have a little bit of an advantage going into this new transfer window when it opens on the 1st of June. That's the big news. Manchester United also scouting other players as well and other forward options in Italy alongside Edison, who is our top midfield target. We are also looking at Retegui, the leading goal scorer in Serie A this season as well. Manchester United double scouting mission. We already know about Edison, but Retegui is an option as well. Quick one as well. The news about the goalkeeping situation. Sadly, it does look like Diogo Costa from Porto is heading to Manchester City. That looks like that is moving forward now. So that pipe dream has gone. Pipe dream has gone as well. Disappointing. Lee Mack with a super chat. Thank you, Lee. Only just tuned in and seen the bad news. A club who chooses Delap over Osimhen shows zero ambition. Delap has had similar first seasons with promoted clubs. Example, Ricky Lambert, Charlie Austin. Ooh, Lee's not happy with that one. Do drop your comments in the comment section below, everybody. After the live has finished. If you love the content as well, please drop a like on the video. I will be doing an earlier live show later. Needs must. Again, thank you everybody for being patient with me over these last 3 days. I've had to change around the schedule a little bit because I've had quite a lot on. It's approximately going to be around about 5 o'clock this evening with the update show. A lot earlier than what we normally do, so I'd really appreciate it if you could all still drop in on that live show as well later on. I've got a feeling there's going to be some big updates. I am going to do a separate video up later on at lunchtime again, just to go in detail and get your opinions properly on the Edison and Retegui information that's come out as well. Delap has taken the headlines this morning, everybody. We will be back later on today. Thank you, mods in the chat. Thank you, members, and welcome new members and subscribers to Forever United TV. I'm Adam. Drop your comments in below and let me know what you think about this news today. Delap is the number one target. See you in a bit, everybody.